Hello everyone, welcome to a inclusive driving virtual lesson. We're going to go and have a look at some hills today, but let's do some commentary driving on the way. Ahead we have a one-way system. You can see that by the rectangular blue sign with the white arrow pointing from bottom to top. So a few rules that could come up on a theory test about one-way streets. You can overtake on the left of another vehicle on a one-way street. And you also need to look at your road positioning if you're turning right at the end of a one-way street. You won't be taking up your normal position slightly to the left of the centre line. You will be moving all the way over to the right. It may be indicated by road markings, arrows painted in the road. It may not. But just be aware, if it's a one-way street and you're turning right at the end, you will need to position over to the right. Warning sign ahead of a double bend going to the right and then to the left. We can also see the black and white chevrons to tell us that it's a very sharp bend. So let's reduce speed down to about 20. There's the right bend, here's the left bend. I'm still doing just under 20. And here you can see the road markings. If you were turning right, you would position over to the right. Now got a warning sign to say that we're going into a two-way traffic area, so we're no longer in a one-way street. Ahead we've got Belisha beacons for a zebra crossing. I can't see any pedestrians at the moment, although there is a road to the left that somebody could run round, especially if it was school time in the morning or the afternoon. Another zebra crossing ahead. There's a car slowing down ahead, going around a parked car. I'm coming off the gas pedal now, just to slow down slightly. Right mirror check, make sure no one's whizzing past me. And around the parked car. Traffic lights ahead have just turned red. I've come off the gas completely. And we'll just let the car slow itself down. As we're going down a hill now, we might need to apply the brake a little bit earlier. My brake is going on gently now. When we're pulling up behind another car, we'll leave a nice gap. Lights have gone green and we've managed to keep it moving. We achieved that by coming off the gas early and not leaving it till the last minute to start slowing down. At the traffic lights we will be going straight on, and they've gone red. I've come off the gas nice and early, applying the brakes, and when I stop behind this car I'll leave myself tyres and tarmac. Have a think about the advantages of leaving a gap behind the car in front and not getting right up to his bumper. If that car stalls or breaks down, we've left ourselves room to get out. If an ambulance was to approach from behind and we needed to reposition, we've left ourselves room to do that. And also from a personal safety point of view, if we felt our personal safety was under threat from somebody outside, we've left ourselves an escape route. When you are sitting at traffic lights, if it's a junction you do quite often, see if you can get to know the pattern of the traffic lights, which roads go before which other roads. Got lots of signs to say keep left, and these concrete things in the middle of the road are pedestrian refuges. It allows pedestrians to cross the road in two halves rather than having to wait until it's clear in both directions. It's not the same as a zebra crossing. At a zebra crossing, the pedestrian does have right of way, or priority is the correct word to use, when they're crossing. The pedestrian refuges, if you can safely stop, maybe do so. If there isn't another car behind you, is it worth stopping? You're only delaying the pedestrian by a matter of half a second or so. We're going straight on, third exit at the roundabout. Starting to slow down now. I've taken second gear. I can see all of the roads to the right. There are no threats and there's nobody trying to jump the gun on the roads to the left. No signal because there's nobody to see it. Pedestrian ahead, making use of that waiting area. Warning sign for a roundabout, and we can say keep left sign and a you must turn left sign. Taking second gear, a couple of cars to the right. Managed to keep it moving at just half a mile an hour or so there. If you can keep the car moving, even if it's at a minuscule amount, the risk of stalling is much less. And you also save a little bit of fuel. And every time you do that, your cost savings add up. Straight on, second exit at the roundabout. I haven't got a very good view of the road ahead because of the bushes, so I'll slow down. Not sure where that car's going. He's going straight on, so I'll keep moving. Again, no signal, no one to see it on this occasion. Straight on, second exit at the next roundabout. This is downhill, so applying the brakes a little bit earlier. Got a few cars ahead that are now obscured by the bushes, so slowing down a little more while I work out where they're going. I've got a gap, keep moving. I will signal left to come off because it benefits those cars that were waiting to join the roundabout. Right, third exit at the next roundabout. Road positioning is important here. Don't have a very good view to the right because of the bushes, so slowing right down. I can safely move before those cars to the right. Signal popped off, so I'll pop it back on again. And I will give a left signal to come off because there is a car to see it. Turning right. We've got a small waiting area in the middle. Just checking that pedestrian has seen me. She's made eye contact. And I'll go past this parked car and I will pull up on the left. There's no one behind me, no one in front, I won't signal. Handbrake on, neutral, signal already is off because we didn't apply it in the first place. So we're going to have a look at the engine starting drill, not to be confused with the cockpit drill, although the two generally come one after the other. Specifically, we're going to have a look at why it is more important to check that the handbrake is on before you check that you're in neutral. And we're going to deliberately make a mistake and see what happens. Check that your handbrake is on. You check that you're in neutral before you start the engine. Have a think about the dangers of starting the engine if you had accidentally left it in first gear or reverse gear. So I've turned my engine off. I've popped it in first gear, my handbrake is on. Let's have a look at what we should do. We should check the handbrake is on first. Then we should check that we're in neutral. Then we could start the engine. going to do something a little bit different here. I'm going to leave it in first gear, but I'm going to pretend that we've left the handbrake off. Now, as you can see, the car isn't moving. This is because we have selected first gear and the engine compression is holding us on the hill. Now, if you had left the car like this and you got into the driving seat and you checked you were in neutral first, what do you think would happen? Let's simulate it. Oh, I need to come into neutral. I'll put my clutch down to move the gear stick. Oh dear, I'm rolling backwards because my handbrake's not on. So can you see why it's important to check that the handbrake is on first, and then we can check that we're in neutral. Let's start the engine and we'll have a look at hill starts. A lot of people panic on hills, and that's understandable, but let's have a look at some strategies where we don't need to panic. The biggest fear is that you will roll backwards. A common mistake is to have the bite on the clutch too high, thinking that it's absolutely essential to have it as high as possible to avoid rolling back. If you do that, you're actually trying to transmit too much power to the wheels too early, and you're more likely to stall on that occasion. So ideally what we need to do is find just enough bite to make the front of the car lift up, but no more. Don't be tempted to think that having more bite is necessarily better. So I've selected first gear, my handbrake is on. I'm just going to bring the clutch up to the biting point so that you can see the front of the car lifting. So finding the bite, losing the bite, finding the bite, losing the bite. Once more, finding the bite, losing the bite. I'm going to turn the fan down as well so that you can hear the engine noise changing. Find the bite, lose the bite, find the bite, lose the bite. I'm now going to deliberately have too much bite so that you can see how much the car lifts and listen to the creaking sound that you hear as well. And actually, if the car starts to move while you've still got the handbrake on, that's an obvious sign that you've got too much bite. The second mistake that a lot of people make is treating the handbrake like an on-off switch. It's either up or it's down. If you put it all the way down and you haven't got enough bite, you will roll back, and that could send you into a bit of a panic. Why not treat it like a dimmer switch on your lights in your bedroom or your living room, and take the handbrake off slowly. That way you'll get more warning that you're about to roll back, and it's just a simple case of snug the handbrake back up. Let's demonstrate that. So I've deliberately not got enough bite. I'm going to take the handbrake off like an on-off switch, all the way off. Oh, I'm rolling backwards, panic, panic, panic. However, I'll do the same again, deliberately no bite. I'll take the handbrake off slowly. Oh, I'm rolling backwards, but only a little bit. And I've just pulled the handbrake back up a tiny bit, and I'm safe again. And I can now think to myself, oh, I don't have enough bite. So let's readjust the clutch. Let's try again. Handbrake off slowly. Not enough because I'm rolling backwards. Handbrake went back on. Try the clutch again. Rolling back ever so gently. Let's reposition again. Handbrake off slowly. Oh, now I'm moving forward, so I know that I'm safe. Handbrake can now go all the way down. A final mistake that a lot of people make is trying to bring the clutch up too soon after they've got the car moving. We still need to make sure that the car builds up some speed with the clutch at biting point before we bring it all the way to the top. Let's show you what I mean. So I've got the car moving slowly. Oh, I think I'm safe. Let's bring the clutch all the way up. Oh, again, panic. We need to get the speed up to something like 4 or 5 miles an hour, possibly a little bit more on a steep hill like this. So don't be tempted to increase the speed too much by bringing the clutch up until we've got to 5 or 6 miles an hour. Now I'm safe, and off we go. I'm going to pull in to the left again. There's a van behind me, so I will signal to say I'm stopping. Handbrake on. I'm going to come off the foot brake very slowly, because that again will let me check that I'm not going to roll back. And I'm not rolling. So now that we're on a very steep section of hill, I'm going to have the same amount of bite, just enough to lift the front of the car, but I'm also going to add some gas. The extra power for the hill is coming from the gas pedal, not from the clutch. So enough clutch to lift the front of the car. I don't need more than that, even though it's a steep hill. The extra power is coming from the gas pedal. And I'm just going to lose the bite a moment while I wait for the van to come from behind. Let's preempt it. Bite to lift, add the gas, handbrake off slowly, feet still. Do not adjust your feet at this stage until the car has got to 5 or 6 miles an hour. Now you can bring the clutch to the top. I'm going to take the next road on the right. There's a car quite close behind me, so I've given an earlier signal. Nothing coming towards me, so I'll do this in second gear. Turning right at the roundabout. I'm not sure how many exits there are. It looks like it's going to be 5th exit. All clear to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Signal left to come off because there is traffic around. There's no warning of this bend, but we can see railings, we can see lampposts, so that tells us that we've got to turn the steering wheel in some direction. And I'll stop on the left as we're on a nice steep hill again. No one behind me, so no signal. Handbrake on. I've deliberately left the handbrake a little bit loose to show you what will happen if I take my foot off the brake too soon. There's a car approaching from behind, so I'm just going to keep still for the moment. If I come off the brake too soon, I'm still waiting for another car to approach from behind. If I come off the foot brake too soon, I will roll. So I come off slowly, just to see the slightest roll, foot back on the brake. another click on the handbrake. Foot off the brake slowly, and we're safe. I'm now going to demonstrate what happens if we try and change gear too early when we're going up a hill. You might think once you get to about 20 miles an hour, you're okay to go into third gear. You'll run into problems if you do that on a steep hill such as this. So as long as traffic allows me to do so, I'll demonstrate what will happen. And turn left at the end of this road and continue up the hill. I've got myself into second gear. Continuing up the hill. And let's go into third gear. The car is struggling, we're slowing down and we're at risk of stalling. So I've stopped here so that we can demonstrate again what happens if we change gear too early at a lower speed on a steep hill. I'll move off when it's safe. I've got a car approaching from behind. Two cars approaching from behind. Let's prepare to go after the second one. Blind spot check. So I got myself into second gear. I'm going to put myself into third gear at the usual 20-ish miles an hour. And we're now losing speed because the hill is too steep. We're at risk of stalling. The engine is chugging. And I'm going to salvage the situation by going to first gear. Why did I go to first gear from third gear, do you think? Well, the car had slowed down to less than 10 miles an hour. So that's not even suitable for second gear. So on that occasion, to rescue the situation, I changed from third straight to first. If I'd changed to second, we still would have struggled to go up the hill at such a low speed. We'll go and revisit that hill once more before the end of the video, and we'll demonstrate what it's like to keep the car in second gear as we go all the way up that hill. Turning right, fourth exit at the roundabout this time. Wait for the car on the right. I'm not sure where he's going yet. Hey, signal popped off, so pop it back on. 1, 2, 3. I will signal to come off because it will affect the decision of this silver Ford. Turning right at the roundabout, third exit. Got second gear ready. All clear to carry on. 1, 2, and exit. This roundabout we've done earlier in the video. It's downhill, so we'll use the brake a little earlier. Slowing down more to give that silver car a chance to make his move. All clear to carry on. Signal left to come off because it will affect the decision of the white car. Turning right, third exit at the roundabout. Notice how the traffic formed two queues there. So this reinforces the fact that road positioning is extremely important. Signal left to come off because there's people to see it, and immediately going into a right turn. I'm in second gear at the moment. I can keep it in second gear to finish this junction. And I'm going to keep the car in second gear all the way up this hill. You can hear the engine revving a little bit louder than normal, a little bit higher. Now you can feel it starting to slow down because of the hill, but because we're in second gear above 20 miles an hour, we're good to carry on in this gear. I'm not going to change gear until I've finished the hill and I've finished steering. Change my mind about where I stop because there's broken glass in the road. I'll go past the bus stop instead. And there's a car behind me again, so signal left to say I'm pulling in. No broken glass this time. So I hope that's given you some insight into driving on hills, hill starts, use of gears on hills, and how to avoid that panicking feeling of rolling backwards. Keep control, don't rush, take the handbrake off slowly, and don't be tempted to have too much clutch bite. So I hope that's been useful. Have a good day.